The people who watch my YouTube videos or read my books will be aware that when I dream, for the most part, it is lucid dreaming. It's very rare that I have a dream in which I'm not aware that I'm asleep, that I'm dreaming. And if I am unaware that it's a dream, then normally sort of after a few seconds, I realize, oh, this is a dream that's unfolding around me. I was dreaming last night. I was aware that I was dreaming about the possibility of Melissa becoming an English as a second language teacher in India. And the contrast between how hopeless and depressing it would be to get involved with teaching English as a second language in India, or even to own my own school, own and manage and operate my own ESL school in India, in contrast to Japan. Now, I know India from afar, and I know Indian culture partly from having known people from India in Toronto, in Canada, in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, in that part of my life in Southeast Asia, even in China. I knew some people from India, Hong Kong, and so on. Yeah, a lot of people from India, Hong Kong. Hong Kong was like Toronto in that sense, and a result of the same British Empire. But also Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was a significant part of my life, and I spent a significant period of time in Sri Lanka. But I have never set foot on the subcontinent of India itself. I will point this out. Look, I am completely desperate for exactly the kind of email you just sent me saying, hey, there's a positive opportunity for you in India. And it's funny because before you suggested this to me, just yesterday on my time zone, just last night, before I received this email from you, this possibility was obviously on my mind, and I had a dream about it. And I'm sorry, I'm just being real with you. What I was reflecting on in the dream was also just how horrible it would be to have my life increasingly influenced by and dominated by relationships with people in India, including, say, your boss and your coworkers, as opposed to your boss being Japanese, your coworkers being Japanese, as opposed to the parents of the kids being Japanese. And again, Japanese culture is not perfect. But I should also add politics. Do you want to deal with Japanese politics? Which I would. I mean, if I were living in Japan, I'd immerse myself in the current politics of Japan as they unfold, as opposed to the politics of India in the 21st century. But anyway, I was reflecting on the hopelessness of that in these many ways before receiving this email from you. From my perspective, I received the email just now this morning, the next morning after waking up and sleeping on it. So my point is this. I am completely desperate for the type of positivity, the type of opportunity, the type of suggestion that you've sent me. Point this out. There is no university anywhere in India that can offer me a degree in any subject that will help me. Now, this may also be true of Japan. This may also be true of England or France. But the total hopelessness, the negative impact it would have on the rest of my life for me to now change directions and attach my future to India, right? On the one hand, you can look at that just in terms of formal education universities. It's much worse than if I were to move to Mexico City. There are actually some universities in Mexico City that could do something else. Okay, now how about my life as a creative artist, as an author, as an intellectual, as a comedian? There is absolutely no way any city in India can offer me those intellectual opportunities, those colleagues, or even offer me access to an audience that will appreciate my work. Again, compared to Mexico City. I mean, my point being, Mexico City is a terrible place for me to live, but any city in India is going to be much worse. I'm never going to have friends. I'm never going to have colleagues. I'm never going to have someone collaborate with me, even on something like making a YouTube video, something that humble. And I'm never going to have an audience that understands me, appreciates me in India. And quite possibly never even one person in India. Whereas if I move to Paris, Berlin, Athens, or Tokyo, Japan, we are talking about numbers more than zero. So look, I'm not making this video to kind of slam the phone on you and say, no, it's impossible. Of course it's possible. I have had to think about the possibility of moving to Sri Lanka many, many, many times in my life. I've never thought about mainland India, but Sri Lanka is different, but in many ways it's a similar cultural and political and economic situation. You can insert some anyway. In some ways, Sri Lanka is worse. In some ways, Sri Lanka is better. But yes, my familiarity with Sri Lanka conditions me in how I'm perceiving this now. But yeah, as bad as my life is in Canada, it is worth seriously asking how much worse would my life be if I now switch tracks to mainland India.